Hey everyone, I hope you're having a great day. My name is Jimbroseph, and in this video, I'm going to talk about the skill tree in Arc Raiders. More specifically, I'm going to talk about what perks I'm going to grab early, and what perks I'm going to make a goal to get later down the line. On the way, I'm going to talk about why I picked these perks, and why I left out some other ones. Hopefully, this video can be helpful to you guys. If you enjoy it, please leave a like and a comment down below. It really means a lot to me. I appreciate all the feedback I got in my first video, and without further ado, let's get into the skill tree. So first off, the build's going to look pretty similar to a lot of builds out there, and that's because we're going to get some points in mobility. We're getting a point in Nimble Climber, so we can get access to these two amazing stamina perks, Marathon Runner and Youthful Lungs. When I was playing the Service Slam, I had these perks maxed out, and I played with some of my friends who had just hopped on. They hadn't had any points in it, and man, the difference is incredible. With these two perks, you're able to run almost twice as far as someone who doesn't have them. I'm definitely maxing out those two perks as soon as I get the chance. Now, you might be thinking, oh, you already invested some points in mobility. Why not grab Calming Stroll? This seems like a great perk. And on paper, it seems great, but I actually grabbed this perk in the Service Slam, and I noticed two things. One was that I already was using adrenaline injectors almost every raid at the beginning to get where I was trying to go, pretty much nullifying the stamina recovery this would give me. And also, I just didn't feel the effects that much even when I did get the effect of Calming Stroll, because the truth is you already generate some stamina while you're walking. This just increases it to the rate at which you would get it back if you were standing still, which is not seemingly that much of a difference. Either way, you can grab it if you want, but I'm not going to go for it in my build. Once I get these early stamina perks, I'm going straight over to Survival Tree. I want to put 1 point in Agile Croucher, 1 point in Revitalizing Squat, and 1 point in Round Crafting. I think in-round crafting is a great perk, especially if you want to go on a lot of free loadouts. A lot of content creators will tell you that this is a great perk, must grab for every build. I actually don't think so. I think a lot of times, especially if you're not doing a lot of free loadouts, you're just not going to find the use for this perk. But since we're going to go into the survival skill tree for my build anyways, it's a nice easy perk to pick up for 1 point. Next thing I'm grabbing is 5 points in Looter's Instinct. This skill is incredible, so useful in the context of Arc Raiders because third parties are so common. Arcs make a lot of noise, they're easy to see because they're flying up high, and players shoot a flare up when they get downed, attracting a lot of players to your location. In both these situations, there's going to be some loot you might want to grab, but there's always the risk of getting ambushed in third party when you're looting a body. And this perk will be great for those situations because less time to loot means less time you're exposed to potential third parties. After that, I'm going to go back and max out Agile Croucher. It's pretty much personal choice whether or not you end up putting 5 points in Agile Croucher or 5 points in Silent Scavenger, because I don't think it's worth putting any more points in Revitalizing Squat. You're going to need 5 points in one of these and 3 in the other to unlock the next skills in the tree. And in my opinion, Agile Croucher is just a great perk. It's going to reduce the amount of time you need to sneak up on somebody and potentially increase your chance to catch them off guard. Silent Scavenger is also a great perk, but generally speaking, you're not going to get found because of the sound you make when you're looting. It's usually because people see you when they're looting, or they heard your sounds before you started looting. But I still think this is a good perk, and we're still going to put some points into it. Once you allocate those skill points, you're going to unlock the next major skills in the survival skill tree. So I'm going to grab a point in Suffer in Silence. Suffer in Silence on its own, it's not the greatest perk, but we do need to grab it to get to the next perks, and being quieter when you're critically hurt can't be a downside. Then, we're going to grab 1 point in Traveling Tinkerer. Like I said before in Round Crafting, I don't think this perk is necessarily amazing, but the value per skill point is just so high, you only need 1 skill point to unlock the full potential of this skill. Broad Shoulders. This is one of the main perks I want to go on Survival Skill Tree for. If the stats are the same as they were in Tech Test 2, this should give you 2 points of weight per skill point you put in Broad Shoulders. So if you max this out, you're going to get an additional 10 weight points. This is such a great boon if you're doing a free loadout because of the low weight capacity on the free loadout kit. And even all the other runs, you're still going to be able to get great value to this because you're not going to have to get encumbered to carry a little bit more loot out of the raid. Next up, we're putting the next 5 points in Looter's Luck. If you're wondering how this skill works, it means that when you're looting, instead of getting 1 item of loot revealed at a time, there's a chance you get 2. Basically, this is the same thing as Looter's Instinct, where you're going to be increasing your looting speed. We're going to put 5 points into this skill as well. Now, as you go throughout the same branch of the skill tree, the next perks don't really matter as much, in my opinion, because you're going to grab the ones you want first. At this point, we're kind of just grabbing whatever's left so we can get to these last few perks. So at this point, if you want to switch up the build a little bit, feel free. However, I do still think there are some important ones you're going to want to get. Now, originally, I was debating between One Raider's Scraps and Stubborn Mule. I thought Stubborn Mule was the obvious choice because stand regen while you're encumbered can make a big difference when you're trying to hustle over the extract and not die. But that being said, this perk directly contradicts the goal of Broad Shoulders, which is to make sure you don't get encumbered in the first place. And also, in Stubborn Mule, your stamina regeneration is less affected by being over encumbered, but your movement speed penalties are not. So you're still going to be really slow, still probably not going to be able to be efficient in combat while encumbered. So generally speaking, you should probably try to avoid being encumbered, and therefore this perk just doesn't have as much value. So instead, I'm actually going to be grabbing 1 Raider Scraps. Like I said before, this perk isn't as good as the others we've grabbed so far, but I think the context in which you would use this perk could be really great. If you just finished a really long, drawn-out fight, chances are that you and your opponent probably went through a lot of your healing and grenades and utility items, which are exactly the kind of items this gives you a chance to find. So, while the items won't be great, it could let you find extra meds, extra utility items, extra grenades that you could end up using in your next fight. So for that reason, we're going to max this skill out. Next up, might as well grab Good as New. I'm thinking this perk might actually have a good use. If you don't know, you can actually use Fabric to heal your health, and it's really, really slow. But that could be a good thing. If you're running long distance, you got a little injured, instead of healing it, you could actually wait to heal it until you're out of stamina, then use some Fabric to heal and get that extra stamina regeneration so you can get to where you're going a little bit faster. Then we need 3 more points. I'm going to go back and max out Silent Scavenger. And finally, we have no other option. 1 point Stubborn Mule. Now, obviously, since I maxed out these trees, you know I was going to grab these last 2 skills. The main one I wanted was Security Breach. I really want to rush Security Breach. I know that the loot in the security lockers isn't absolutely the top end loot, but it is still really good loot, and it's loot that a lot of people are not going to have access to. So I do think that if you get this skill, you're going to be able to get a lot more value of your raids, especially in situations where you're maybe in a trio and there's not enough loot for everybody, or you spawn in late, you get to the spot you want to loot late, but maybe the security lockers are still available for you to breach. And since we already met the prerequisites, might as well grab Minesweeper. This skill is definitely situational, but in those situations where you need this skill, it could have a huge impact. And since we're right at the end of the tree, might as well grab it for 1 more skill point. Now, a lot of you are probably wondering why I didn't get any points in Use to the Late. I do think that this skill is really great. Personally, I just don't think that the downsides that come with using a heavy shield are worth it. And the 5% move speed penalty for the medium shield is not that bad. So while I do think you could definitely throw some points in here if you want to use the heavy shield, I'm probably not going to put any points into it until I've gotten Security Breach and Minesweeper. That being said, you can change the build however you want. You don't even have to use this build, but I think this build could be really great for people trying to get a lot of loot and a lot of value out of their raids. I'm also going to leave a link to this website down in the description in case you guys want to build your own builds. That being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If there's anything you guys agree or disagree with, please let me know down in the comments. I'd be glad to respond to you guys. If you did enjoy the video and you want to see more like this, a like and a sub would be greatly appreciated. Thanks guys. Peace.